if you would.
Hello, everyone. My name is Tiana White, and I'm in the NCCU program of Information Technologies. And I'm interested in the brand of luxury.
Hi, everyone. I'm Rachel Johnson, a PMBA student, and I'm interested in the London program. Hi, I'm Samantha Ducker. I'm also a PMBA student, also interested in the London program.
Hi, I'm Max Porto. I'm an undergrad. I'm just curious to learn a little bit more about.
Great. Awesome.
My name is Ian. I'm in the Global MBA, and I was especially interested in the luxury program in Nice.
Great.
My name is Ethan Messerman. I'm an undergraduate. I was looking into the Olympic program in Paris.
Hi, my name is Izzy Houston. I'm in the Organizational Leadership and Learning program in the education school, and I'm interested in the Paris Olympics program.
I am a MSM student, so marketing. I'm interested in either the business of luxury or the Olympics.
Excellent.
Hi, my name is Avery. I'm in the undergrad, and I'm interested in the Paris Olympic Games program.
Awesome.
Hi, I'm Chinese on the team. I'm Master Plan of Tourism Management. I'm also interested in Paris.
Perfect.
Hi, I'm Jonathan. I'm in the MS film program and also interested in the Olympics program.
Great. Well, it's really nice to have you all here. Thank you for braving the cold to join us. And then you'll get to know my colleagues a little bit better later on, and they'll be sharing a bit about their programs. But if you want to quickly just say your name and what program you're running. Oh, yeah.
Lisa Delphine-Arati, and professor here, and I'll be running the Olympics.
I'm Robert Weiner. I'm a professor in the business school in the Elliott School and the Trachtenberg School, and we've done the program of business in the state. So,
Perfect. And they'll both have a chance to present a bit about their respective programs. So it'll be a good opportunity for you all to learn more about what you can expect. So for today, I have just some information about my office. We have 4 people on my team, so we're a small and mighty group. We help facilitate international student services for the School of Business specifically. We organize overseas study programs. We do some domestic and international experiential programs as well. And then generally, we facilitate and advocate for collaboration on global and experiential initiatives school-wide. So some of our programs are degree requirements, and then all of the programs we'll be discussing today are elective opportunities open to all graduate business students and qualified undergraduates. So an agenda, we have just an hour together before the reception. We have a lot to cover, but we'll do an overview of what STAPs are, the faculty-led programs highlight, partner-led programs highlights, a brief overview of our business and society series, some details about application process, additional and future opportunities as well, and of course, time for your questions if you have any. And then I hope you'll all join us in the Crane Center for a small reception. We have some food from some Mediterranean food, so it should be a nice opportunity to continue the conversation. Welcome. Thank you for joining us. So short-term study away program is an academic off-campus course. So it's condensed. They're really intense, long, I think really long days, lots of time together working so that you can pack in all the content in order to get enough credit to make the time worthwhile. We have a short travel duration, typically between 1 and 2 weeks. For the benefit of most of our professional students who have a lot of obligations outside of their studies, but also to try to minimize costs as well for housing, meals, that type of thing. We want to make our programs as accessible as possible. And we always ensure that the travel for these programs doesn't interfere with GW classes. And so you can expect that any program to take place during a break. So a little bit about the types of programs. We have the faculty-led programs, which are led by GWSB faculty. And then we have partner-led programs, which are hosted by one of our amazing partner institutions around the world. GWSB has over 20 schools that we work with in terms of bilateral exchange. And it's very clear from the trends we've seen over the last almost 20 years that while our exchange partners like to send their students here for a full semester, a lot of our students here at GWSB want to be in DC and don't necessarily overwhelmingly want to go for a longer duration. And that's why they accommodate our students' interests by providing these short-term options. Note that long-term study away is still an option that I hope most of you will consider if you're able, and I'll dive into that a little bit. But again, we're looking for ways to adapt to students' interests and availability. Two things to note for the faculty-led programs is we have business immersion type of program where students are learning about a general theme and having a lot of business meetings and visits, discussions, opportunities to engage on a specific topic. And then we have global business project themes, which are more project-based in nature, where students are typically working in a small team to create and give a deliverable or final recommendation to a partner. So with those programs, we'll work with 1 to 4 companies where students are answering a business challenge or providing some strategy recommendation to help them move their business forward. So all of these are competitive application. Our faculty ultimately have the final say in terms of the students who participate, but we try to have as many students join as we're able. So why study away? This is a great chance to expose yourselves to new regions, countries, sectors, and ways of doing business, access to new study topics, enhance skills, increase global competence, and develop and expand your global network. And then it can also help you earn credit quickly to get to graduation, which is a goal everyone in this room has in common. I think too, for many of our students, you're exploring different career opportunities and maybe figuring out what your interests might be. And so these programs also, because of the intense nature, can give you this firsthand real world experience to better understand where your interests lie, where your skills are, and what it is that you want to do once you graduate. Beyond this, it can be really compelling to talk about job interviews, to put on your resume, help you stand out against the competition as well. There's a photo. We had Professor Selene Mattis is pictured there with some of her students in Georgia a couple summers ago, for any of you who might know her. Okay. And then for faculty led programs, all graduate and qualified undergraduate students are eligible to apply. This is elective credit and all degree majors in schools also. So it's also, I know we have someone here, is it from GSHED? Mm-hmm. Yeah, so Elliott students, CCAS students, it's nice. We usually have like a handful of students from other schools who engage in these opportunities. So you can further expand your network and have teams or just conversations with folks who have different academic interests and experience. It can add a lot to the classroom discussion. And so here are our programs for this coming summer. We have a lot of great faculty-led and partner-led programs that you'll learn a lot more about in the following slides. So some things to consider in addition to the content. Like for some of you, it might be so clear, you know exactly what it is that you want to do. Others who might be exploring more. For the faculty-led program, this is just GWSB specific. So you're with a GW faculty member, you're with only GWSB students. And then for our partner-led program, that requires a bit more independence because you'll be organizing your own housing, for example, versus staying with all students in the same hotel. There are pros and cons, of course, to both. And then for the partner-led programs as well, we have a lot of examples where other graduate business students from US business institutions are also participating. So you can engage with not only GW students, but business students from other institutions as well as folks in the partner school. There's no wrong or right program, right? It's just different experiences, but all add value. And then here's the application timeline. So February 4th is going to be here before we know it. I know the year's flying by. So if you're serious about participating in some of these summer offerings, definitely start your application as soon as possible because classes started already. Things are going to pick up and we want to make sure that you get your materials in on time and that you also have time to ask questions if they arise as part of that process. The applications are straightforward, but it's still, you know, some time involved. And we'll do, you know, we'll work quickly on our end to provide decisions by mid-February, so that you then have a few days to really commit. Maybe in advance, you could bring it up with your employer now and say, I'm applying to this program. I'm interested in this opportunity for those of you who work. And you can say, the skills I gain and the experience will add value to my, you know, to my work. And hopefully you could potentially get that. You wouldn't have to use paid time off. Maybe we see it usually split 50-50 with our professional students, but it doesn't hurt to ask. And I think it also shows that you're committed to growth and development. So hopefully that's not a barrier for you. And then in terms of the application, our website is very straightforward. You'll see where it's highlighted there. The short-term programs is where you'll find all of these opportunities linked. You can use the QR code. I think if you're all here, you're probably familiar on some level with our website, hopefully. And then you can see too, everything's hyperlinked. Once you're within a brochure, you can read more about the date and the content, the experience, what to expect. In some cases, we have blog posts from past participants you can read into. And then we have the apply now button, which sometimes is tricky to identify. So that's within the program details section. Those are sort of different tabs to click through to learn more and ultimately apply. So we're really highlighting Professor Narati and Professor Weiner's programs here. So that's where you would click. And then the partner-led programs are all listed there. And that's where you apply. And for GWSB Passport, or GW Passport, this is a university-wide system that is used for study abroad opportunities across all schools. It's important when you log in that you do not create a new account, but you just use your pre-existing net ID. And this is not your full email. It's just the section that goes before @ within your email. Same password. And then the cost estimates for faculty-led programs are all included in the program fee. We'll have the housing as part of that for the faculty-led programs, breakfast at the hotel is included. And then usually there are a couple group meals as well. Some cultural activities, local transportation to program-related activities, and then travel health insurance is required and very affordable, but built in automatically, so it's nothing you have to worry about. Not included is tuition and fees, the airfare, airport transfers, lunch and dinner on dates where we don't have group meals scheduled, as well as any personal expenses. For partner-led programs, these are open enrollment, and GW can charge you for the tuition, and then the health insurance, which again is very nominal. And then any non-billable expenses include your airfare, housing, local transportation, meals, and activities. I suggest if you are interested in a partner-led program that you recruit a friend to join you so that you can save on housing costs. If you're open to having a roommate, that can be a great way to make things more affordable as well. Hi, thank you for coming. And then for custom programs, sometimes we have like a small fee that's part of that, and that usually goes towards meals and activities on site. So I'm going to turn it over now to my colleague, Professor Weiner, and he'll share a bit about his experience leading this amazing program in London. And after that, he'll turn it over to Professor Narati as well. So thank you for being here.
You give me a 2-minute warning.
Oh yeah, I'll give you a warning. That's a good idea.
Is the clicker working?
It's supposed, it's
It's a little thing in the.
here, yeah, but maybe, oh, that's promising. Yes,
Oh,
there you are.
Okay. that's good.
Hooray.
Okay.
Miracle.
All right.
Thank you.
All right, thank you all for coming. We don't have much time, but we'll have additional time at the reception afterwards. And I'm also having a separate session, info session for this program next week, which is on the brochure website, which is going to be much more informal, just sitting around the table. So couple things, open to people from all schools, and this program has had people from many different schools. The key thing is that you have some exposure to econ, because this program is basically about economics related issues. It's not a technical econ, but you've had either econ in college or you've had one of our econ courses here. 3 credits. We meet on campus, and notably, we meet on campus both before and after we go. So after, as Sarah described, the intense experience, we don't want to then say goodbye, have a nice life. We come back a couple weeks after the program for a debrief and also for presentations. We're scheduled to go to London, which is at the same latitude as Anchorage, Alaska, which is far to the north, which means at the time of the summer solstice, it is light for 17 hours a day. And fortunately, unlike DC, it's nice and cool. Average high temperature of 22 C. So it's a nice way to get away from the heat and humidity of a place like, say, DC or say Paris in July. Yeah, let's talk about this is an unusual program. 3 or 6 credits, so you can either do the 3 credits abroad. We also have a semester-long course on business at the state on campus on one of the evenings of the week, with the idea that people who want to integrate their study abroad experience with the rest of their curriculum in our main programs, this is a way to tie things together so that it's not, so that study abroad is not just like taking pictures of a pyramid or the Eiffel Tower or something like that. Longest running GW program was started by our former dean and Lord Sharman. Lord Sharman is a member of the House of Lords, and we know several members of the House of Lords and have visited with them. Been going since 2001. If you're interested in a student perspective, and it's always better to get a student perspective because the professor will tell you what he or she wants to. But what you want to do is hear what the students think. There are some blogs up with links from the program brochure from people who did the to the program last year and previous years. It's not a consulting project, and it's also not either a study tour or business immersion. The idea here is that we're studying business problems that are related to problems in the United States. So if you go to a country like, for example, some of our study abroad in past have gone to places like Vietnam, very, very different, a very valuable experience to see how a different part of the world works. This is going to a similar country that faces similar problems with very, very different institutions. And unlike most courses at GW, we have a strong political element to this one. We talk to politicians, not just to people who are technocrats, which is more of the type of learning we have on campus. And each year we've gone inside Parliament to talk to members of the House of Lords and House of Commons about political aspects of the relationship between business and the state, business, the private sector, and the public sector. We're learning from a country, which means that we focus on the areas where the public and private sectors interact. Presumably, one of the reasons that people are here in DC for their studies is because they want to go to a school that is in a place where you have both business and government. There are plenty of great business schools around the US, but we are in the center of it all, and the government has played a bigger and bigger role in business ever since COVID. And between COVID and the energy crisis and geopolitical conflicts, government plays a big role, but yet our courses about government and business are like a boxing match. You have government on one side, business on the other. This course brings them together, particularly in sectors where a lot of our students work or have worked full-time or part-time, things like transport or defense, infrastructure, things like that. We're learning from a country. Learning means when we're there, we don't spend our time working on a project for the client. We are the client. The work that people have on their projects, on their presentations are before we go and after we come back. We're not working for the client there. We're not doing a project. We're learning from people there. That means you have your evenings free, except when we have a social or cultural event. And I want people to use their evenings to go to pubs, at least those who are drinking age, and ask people what they think about state-provided services. One of the big differences between the US and the UK is the UK for the last 70 years has had a national health service, 75 years. All healthcare is in the public sector, very different from what we have. Does it make a difference? That's what the issue about privatization and public-private partnerships is about. Does it make a difference if the government does something or the private sector? It's something that we don't talk much about in our day-to-day grinding class here. It's a way to take a step back and ask the bigger issues. What should be in the public sector? What should be in the private sector? Should healthcare be in the public sector? And instead of talking about abstractly, we go to a National Health Service hospital and talk to a doctor there, and she's also an administrator about the challenges that she faces as a doctor in which anybody can walk in and get service free of charge, unlike in the US where healthcare is prohibitively expensive. Learning means that we're not spending our time doing PowerPoints in the evenings as if we were doing a project. Only cost listed. Of course, this is the only short-term revolving program that's cross listed with another school, with the idea that people studying private management, whether it's an MBA program or a BS program, are working directly in class with people who are studying public management through the Master Public Policy program or the Elliott School or one of the other schools that focuses on the public sector. The idea that our schools tend to be siloed. This is a chance to work with people in class and hang out with people in class who you otherwise wouldn't see, and who, in some sense, are the precursors of the people you're dealing with when you deal with the government. To get a firsthand perspective on the public-private interface. And then as an evening free, we have some cultural activities, social activities. In the past, we've gone to Shakespeare plays. London is famous for theater. London is also famous for being frightfully expensive. And the way we save money is we have double occupancy, but we have hotels that are in the center of town, very convenient to pubs or whatever else you want to do in the evening when you're not doing your work for the clients. And we give people the equivalent of a smart trip to go around town. So there's a lot more independence in terms of your time. You leave time for independent activities, but we also have things like we have a high tea, and to remind people that a country is not its capital. We take coach trips, bus trips outside of the capital. We've gone once to the University of Cambridge, one of the oldest universities in the world, to hear a talk from a knight and professor there who was a very long-time friend. We also go to a British Army base, Ministry of Defense, to talk about how the private sector participates in defense. So it's a very, very different experience from going on a study abroad where you're going to talk to CEOs about how great their company is or whatever our Sarah should put her hands over ears or whatever our other short-term programs do. We're very focused on the interface between the public sector and the private sector, talking to people in both so that people can open up their minds a little bit. I think beyond what our politicians here in the US say about how public health care is a disaster, a waste of money, provides bad outcomes. Turns out that life expectancy in the UK, which has about 85% income level of the US, life expectancy is higher. Infant mortality is lower. Maternal mortality is lower. All the health indicators under their health service are better than ours. And we try to understand why, when it's all the public sector that many of our politicians don't like. We've been going for many years since we've met a variety of people. Some of the people we've talked to are alumni, and some of the people who have gone on this class in the past have then gone on to work in internships and jobs, and then if they're interested, we'll have a big network of connections, because we've been going and seeing people over many years. This year, inshallah, that we get enough people to go. We've already lined up some speakers, including the head of a sovereign wealth fund. One of the things about London is it's an international financial capital. So even if you're not particularly interested in UK, there are a lot of international activities that are relevant for public-private interface that are not about UK. So sovereign wealth funds are like mutual funds, but they invest the money of a country. So when a country gets money from either oil wealth or other kinds of wealth and invests it abroad, somebody has to do the investment. That's called a sovereign wealth fund. Some of the sovereign wealth funds are based in London as a world financial capital, and one of the heads of the sovereign wealth fund, which are notoriously secretive, is an alum of GW. So he came in and talked to us last year. We tend to have a diverse group of students, very diverse in terms of schools. Usually business school programs get business school students because our program is cross-listed. It's typically a mix of slightly more than half business school and slightly less than half a combination of other schools around TW, primarily the Elliott School and the Columbian School. And so just to summarize, because I'm almost out of time. This is not a program about the UK. This is a program about a theme, business and the state, and privatization and nationalization. The UK has had more privatization and nationalization than any other country. How many people have heard of an automobile make called Jaguar? Raise your hand if you've heard of Jaguar. Pretty well-known car. State-owned enterprise, made by bureaucrats, automobiles made by bureaucrats who worked for the government of the United Kingdom because it was taken over by the government. Same thing for Land Rover. Same thing for Rolls-Royce. Then they were moved back to the private sector. The UK has had things in the public sector that we've never had. On the other hand, going the other way, the UK has had things privatized that you guys have things in the public sector we haven't, like automobiles, they've also had things in the private sector we haven't, such as the post office and the trains. In the United States, the US post office, loved by many, though not by all, is 100% owned by the people of the United States. In the UK, the Royal Mail is privately owned. Does it make a difference? And if so, how does it make a difference? When does it make a difference? In the United States, our intercity passenger rail is a monopoly called Amtrak, also loved by some, including President Biden, but not by everybody. The UK, the UK has private railway system. And the tracks are owned by the government, but the trains are owned by the government. So we ask that type of question. How do we think about whether it's best to have companies being in the public sector, private sector, whether it's the railroad or the post office or the defense contractors, or the post service? I think my time is up, so thank you, folks. Let's see. Oh, yeah, turn
Hi, thank you so much,
Great.
Professor Robbie, thank you for being here. I would love, for you to share your experience as well, and then there'll be time for Q&A at the very end. Thank you.
Okay, well, I'm dressing for the part. This is a little bit from Tokyo, this is a little bit from Beijing, but I'm Lisa Delphi-Marati. As I said before, professor, I lead the sports management program here. And I hate to tell you, I think our program is the longest running. So 1992 was the first Olympic Games that I took students to, and we have consecutively been bringing students to the Olympics since 1992. It's obviously every 2 years, not every year, but we're very proud of that.
Call it a tie. You guys.
Yeah. And anybody know the number of Olympic Games that I've been to personally? These will be my 22nd consecutive Olympic Games. My first ones were in '84. The Winter Olympic Games. Anybody know who that was? Country does not exist. Yugoslavia, Sarajevo, Yugoslavia. So I have a deep background and love for the Olympic Games, and I'm just excited to share it with the students. And so just to give you a little bit of background, every game that we go to are different. Because of security, because of access, because of just the group that we have. And so when I outline what we're doing, I cannot specifically say that we're going to get access to X, Y, Z, because I tell you every year, sometimes the system works and sometimes it doesn't, but you're always going to have a great experience. So, with that, this class is open to undergrad and grads. We do start with the grad program. Undergrads, oftentimes we wait, especially if you're a younger undergrad, because we have another program, hopefully, going to happen in Milan, the Winter Olympic Games in 2026. So that all happens It is 3 credit hours. It is 14 days, so it is a longer program. And we do that because you're going to be spending some of your days volunteering for the U.S. Olympic and Paralympic Committee. We also have other alums that are hoping to engage our students. They're doing hospitality and programming for corporate sponsors. Just heard from Athletica that they're pretty close. We may have also Airbnb is doing an Airbnb house. So but everybody's a little behind on making commitments or trying to decide what they have. But we for sure know we're interning for USA House. And so this is the first year of all the Olympic Games that USA House is going to be open to the public. So there's going to be 2 sections of it, and it's going to be in the former Wall Street, the Paris equivalent of Wall Street, beautiful building. And so one part is going to be private, and it's only for their VVIPs, $1,000 per person entry fee, and all of the Olympians medal winners go there. And then the public side is also open for fee, and it's more like a party, hang out with other people. But they are going to copy what Heineken House, the Dutch have been doing for years, where they bring in athletes to celebrate. So they go on stage and everybody claps and music and dancing and all that kind of stuff. So you'll be working at the USA House for sure, and hopefully some other ones. The accommodations are at the Fudan Hotel Palace. It's at the Metro. If you think of like in Paris, there's a circle similar to here in Washington, D.C. We're at the southern middle, and great access to metros to go everywhere. So that's really what we care about. We're close to a metro, you jump on metro, go everywhere. On the slide, it said 2 to a room. In our place, it's 3 beds to a studio. And so there is like a little kitchenette. So there's no breakfast provided, but you do get, you can go out and make your own breakfast. We don't tend to have any breakfasts because people are either out the door and then we eat it or whatever. So no breakfast included, and we do have a kitchenette. And then Olympic tickets, I do not have access. You do not get tickets from me. Those are all on your own. We do occasionally in the past, I'm just gonna be honest, in the past, I knew who had tickets. It was really easy. They used to call them ATRs, authorized ticket reps, and every country had an ATR, and I knew all of them, and I knew how to get tickets. They have changed things up and they've consolidated it. And it's one group on location that's managing all the tickets. So it's a little bit more difficult to finagle these kind of tickets, but I think they're going to be opening up. My vision is that they're going to need to get people in the stadium. So there's always ways to get this. This is our group in South Korea. And then what we do is, besides doing the volunteer work and more like event management work, that you get access to different places, is that we have a lecture series, and we meet with everybody from IOC members and IOC staff to National Olympic Committee representatives, like the U.S. Olympic Committee, but we'll also meet with German, or we usually get 1 or 2 other National Olympic Committees to talk about Jamaica, because we talk about how good they are in track and field, and want to know more about what they do. The organizing committees, both Paris, we bring in people who have been working on the Paris Games, but then we're looking forward to Milan and LA. So a number of LA representatives will be in Paris, and they are the next host of the Olympic Games. IFs are international federations, so like FIFA, U.S. basketball, not U.S. basketball, but FIFA, Federation of International Basketball Association. And many of these international federations have houses. So there's a volleyball house. So these are There are national houses, like the French has a house, you have a house, that type of house. So you get experiences going into these houses and understanding why and how they have these houses. Some of them use it for tourism. Some of them use it for fundraising. Some of them use it for economic commerce. And it's paid by the commerce departments of many of the nations like Slovenia. So it's interesting to hear the business reasons for each of these different houses. Sponsors, so usually Procter and Gamble and Visa and Coca-Cola. So we meet with the different corporate sponsors and understand why they're spending straight out 200 million just on their sponsorship fee, and then another probably $500,000, billion, sorry, on hospitality and tickets and commercials on NBC, etc. We also have, there's different business conferences going on during the Olympic Games as well as educational conferences. So we have access that they've been giving us to our students to come into those different events that happen free of charge. And then in the past, we've been able to get tours of like the media center and the Olympic Village and different venues. But again, I cannot promise that because every year is different, and with everything going on in the world these days, we think security is going to be at a very high standard. But every Olympic Games always has a security risk. And I tell you, usually it ends up being the safest place that you could ever be during in a world, because there's so much attention and so much security. I always say it's the best time to go as a tourist, because everybody's too busy. The people there are there for the games. And yeah, they may go to the Louvre, but not as many as normal would be there in July going forward. So, like when I was in London, we walked into the British Museum, nobody was there. We're like, no, we got a little place for ourselves. When normally in July, you have a lot of people. So it's great to experience the city in an Olympic time. Not only because of the festival, but because you do have the tourist sites are usually less crowded. All the locals go away. And for your assignments, I didn't put that up, but everybody can select their own topic. So if you're interested in the finances of the Olympic Games, if you're interested in the design of the Olympic Games, like the look of the Olympic Games, or you're interested in the security, or the marketing, or, you could take a topic of your choice, and then you write about it, you research it and write about it prior to going, and then you finish off your report when you come back, because we want you to know enough, so when you get there, you're really educated on that topic, and then you'll realize that, well, I heard this, but in reality, this is not happening. Or, well, I didn't read about this. Like transportation, some people have done transportation, some people have done volunteer management, some people have done all the different topics that we have. And that is it. So happy to answer any other questions that you.
Thank you so much. I'll breeze through the rest because I'm sure most students are just eager to hear from you too. But thank you very much for your commitment to our students and your work through the years and providing these amazing opportunities. Because as you can imagine, it's a lot of work on the faculty side to develop these types of experiences and then to lead on the ground. So our team is very grateful to have you as partners in this. So for short-term exchange, we have the Copenhagen Business School summer school. This is open enrollment with lots of different topics. So if you're interested in studying in Denmark, you can check out their website, and then the earlier you commit, the more control you have as far as what courses, because there would just be more availability. For France, the Business of Luxury, I know we have a few students interested in learning more about this program. It's with partner school EDHEC, and like all of our universities that we partner with across the globe, we seek out institutions that have expertise in areas that might not be available here at the School of Business. And so luxury branding is certainly a topic that will be covered in some of your courses, but this is sort of their wheelhouse at EDHEC. And so you can see a little bit about what you could expect if you were to participate. A lot of really incredible business visits are part of this program where you get to meet with leadership who are in this space. And then the program dates are also convenient for our professional students. And even some of our full-time students who might also be looking at internships. It's condensed and over the holiday. So we try to make it so that it's as accessible as possible. And if you don't want to bike, I'm sure you could get out the biking. People have varying levels of comfort. And then for China, we have summer school with Fudan, their School of Management, and this is open to graduate students only, 3 credits. It's an online course plus an in-person intensive experience in Shanghai, and a variety of different modalities and experiences. Also includes company visits and a focus on career as well. So this is a great opportunity if folks are interested in learning more about business in Asia. And then Taiwan also is a great option in Asia. This is where Tsinghua University, College of Commerce, and this is flexible in terms of lots of different courses and topics that might be of interest. And the program dates are also convenient for students who might have plans in June or July, if it's an internship or some other type of commitment. This program fits nicely in the end of the month of May, which is the first summer term. Great, and so for applications, I showed you screenshots of where you can find the link, but note that the application deadline of February 4th is firm, so please, don't delay. We'll quickly, as a team, review initially the applications, make sure everybody submitted everything that is needed, and then share those applications with faculty for their review, and ultimately it's at the faculty discretion as far as who's selected. And then there's a $500 deposit required to show your commitment, but that is applied to your account. So it's not a fee that is in addition to anything else. It's just to show that you're committed, because we're paying deposits on housing. We want to make sure that everything is sort of happening in the right time frame so that we're not overcommitting on our end with the number of students that we're planning for.
And that is a non-refundable.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's like enough that we want to know that you're serious, but hopefully it's not prohibitive. If it is, let us know. And then for the program approval, that is will happen later on in the month of February. We do have some funding options, namely a blog scholarship for a few students. This is to help cover the cost of airfare and meals. So it's more of like a reimbursement to help with those expenses. And this is part of the application. So if it's something you want to be considered for, it's part of the application. It's not a separate exercise. And then we'll host a session for committed students. Each step of the program, we'll make sure you have all the information that you need so that there are no questions or you're feeling like you don't know what you need to know. These courses are managed through our office, so you couldn't enroll in them when you register for classes. We'll take care of that for those of you who commit. And then the program fee is tied to course registration. So if you have holds on your account or if you're at your max number of credits and need permission from your advisor to increase, that's something we would work with you to manage. And then for the airfare, we just say this as a reminder that we want to make sure we have the number of students needed to run a course. And so even though you're approved, we have to wait to make sure we have the minimum number of students, which I think for this year we have no concern with the amount of interest I've seen at this point. So we still want to wait though for that final approval to purchase airfare.
Can I just add one?
Yeah, of course, please.
Is you can get to our destinations however you want, right? So if you want to be flying to Norway and then take a train down to Paris or London, or you want to use frequent flyer, maybe going around the world, whatever. As long as you're in our destination during the program date, it's fine with us, so.
That's right, that's a good point. And that's another way of saying, these programs, people don't travel together as a group. It's not like a high school trip abroad. You don't travel so that if you want to visit friends or visit another part of the country or another country on the way there or the way back, you're only constrained to your other publications are at home. Yeah, that's the program. And when we first started the program, we looked into, could we get a discount if we all went together? And it turned out the airlines would only get, at that time, really big discount. At least 50 people went together, which is way more.
Too many.
Yeah, and so there's some people have focused on getting the lowest possible airfare, and sometimes we're willing to make a stopover in a place there's some work that are in the second.
And if you wanted to buddy up, like maybe in terms of, wanting to travel on the flight with someone or share the Uber or, commute on the train with a classmate, you'll know the other members of the class, so you could coordinate in advance if that's something that you wanted to do, if that would add to your experience as well. And then for the application, it is a competitive process, so take your time, review the cost estimates, make sure it's something that you're able to commit to, and then own your schedule. So like I said, if you're employed, start that conversation now with your employer, get their blessing, hopefully. Maybe get that leave as part of your work if you can tie it into your professional development, and research entry requirements as well, in case you're an international student, if you needed to better understand any barriers for entry. And then like the faculty were saying, it's really a wonderful chance to travel more outside of the program date. So if you can arrive early or stay late and do some independent traveling as well, highly recommended. And that too can help you adapt to any time changes on the front end as well. So additional opportunities, I'm gonna quickly state that we have Business and Society series for graduate students. It's open enrollment, so anybody can register. We actually, for spring break, there are a handful of spots left. It's on blended finance, and we have a great faculty leader who works full-time at USAID who will be leading that course. So it's a really good opportunity. And then this summer, we have AI as a focus, which I know is a hot topic these days. So the STAP application doesn't apply. This is just when registration is open, you can register yourself. And then long-term study abroad for our graduate students. This is a great opportunity. We'll have another info session a week from today virtually, and it will also be recorded. So we'll make sure you all get a copy of that too, for those who might be eligible. And then final step, again, start your application for the programs themselves, but also for your passport if it needs to be renewed or if you don't have one. It can take a lot of time for the office or the government, I guess, to process these requests. So definitely do that sooner rather than later. So here are our social media accounts. We're particularly active on LinkedIn and Instagram, so I encourage you to follow us for the latest tips. But I'm going to make sure now to turn it over to you all to ask questions about any of these programs, and particularly, taking advantage of the fact that we have the faculty leaders here. So thank you for your time and attention. Yes.
Excuse me. My question is for Dr. Delphinaro. So I'm a business analytics student, so your program doesn't directly coincide with my program, but I'm focusing on sports analytics. And I'm not sure how to frame that conversation with my advisors. Do you have any advice?
You do have electives, right? So what you can do is focus your paper on analytics. So there's a ton of analytics going on like the medal count. Like, we've done research on what the predictions are and what the outcomes are, and looking at the algorithms that they came up with these predictions and why did they fall apart. The U.S. was expected to get all these medals in the last games, and they did not. And so you can kind of study those different models, and that would relate to your analytics course.
Okay, And I was interested in doing the sports management certificate next year, if I can go or not. Is that at all part of the conversation with my advisor? I know this isn't gonna count towards that, but should I bring that up at all? or do you think-
The one thing that we could do, we could talk about, we probably can waive out one of the classes in the grad certificate, and take the class.
Okay. Thank you.
I assume for the 1 week London program that there's no visa required.
Oh, that's a very good question. So the EU is going to visas for American citizens,
Right.
but the UK left the EU, so
Right.
there's no visa required.
Yeah.
But it should be said that I'm guessing from your accent that you're an American citizen.
Yes.
So whether you need a visa depends on what country you're citizen. So as Sarah alluded to, if you are an international student, you have to look to see the country you want to go to, whether it requires a visa from people from the home country. And GME helps people in terms of writing a letter, say that they're from this. But if you're an international student and where you're going to need the visa, you should start early just in terms of how helpful the government, the consular office is here in the United States in terms of helping you get a visa, and that there is a tremendous amount.
And, yes, so the visa for those going to Paris, there is now the European visa. I haven't heard oftentimes the host city or the host country waives visas for those coming in, but I don't think that's gonna happen, so I think we're gonna need to go to the European visa. I have a call with USOPC tomorrow, so I just added it to my notes, another question that I need to ask them, so. I'll know that by the time we meet.
Great, and some countries, I mean, when you land at the airport, you can apply for the visa, so it's unclear if it would be a big to do, and like the timeline and stuff, but that's certainly information that we'll provide guidance on for those going. Any other questions?
So for the UK program, so the only prerequisite would be, an economics course at a certain level, either undergrad or graduate,
That's, yeah,
and it can be from a different institution.
yes.
Do you have a question?
Yeah, so outside of those scholarships that you mentioned, do you find that students find external, like grants or scholarships to help fund this, or is that typically what students do?
There are some opportunities, especially if you're going to a non-traditional location and spending a longer amount of time in a destination. But typically for the short-term programs, there aren't a lot of external programs. We can help provide a letter for the amount if you wanted to increase like a financial aid award. So that's an option a lot of students do. But sometimes students do crowdfunding because it's a lot of money, but it's, if you start now, you know, it's easy somewhat. So, you know, everything like inflation and everything's already expensive, but with the right planning and budgeting, the hope is that if you're committing in February, by the time July comes around, that you're able to do it. But we have on our website some additional financial resources, but I don't know of anything that's like consistently coming through for students. Yeah, great question.
Some students have been creative and crowdfunding or just asking. like, Holidays are already over, but your birthday or whatever else is coming up, that you say, no gifts, please, everybody pay me. And like honeymoon gifts, right?
I have another question, for both of you, since this is a competitive application process, and as you're thinking about the groups of students that you're choosing, are you looking for specific types of background or like diversity so that you can build a cohort that can learn together? What's important to you to see in that application?
That's a very good question. Do you want to go first?
I'll be very honest that I need to take care of our MS and sports management students first because they came to GW, many of them specifically for this degree. So, but again, for many reasons they can't take it or whatever. So I do look at our MSFM students first, and then I look at other master students, and then I go down to undergrad. So that's the way it kind of process is.
So we have a different type of program. We're looking for diversity. So we try to have a diversity of people from different programs, from different schools, as I mentioned. We also try to have a gender balance as close to equal as we can. We don't have much control of that because that depends on your thoughts. In the past, so just as an example, last year, we went with 18 students, 12 of them were from the business school, from 4 different business school programs. And, I'm sorry, 12 were from business school, 4 different programs. 4 were from the Trachtenberg School, from 3 different programs, and 2 were from. And we also try to prioritize people who are closer to graduation, with the idea that if they're just starting, they will have a better opportunity. There hasn't been a problem in the past. So there's a lot of people who applied, and then they were accepted when you apply, there's no cost to application. So the $500 deposit that Sarah was talking about is only if you accept your admission. So sometimes when people are admitted, then they look carefully and think, do I really have the time to do this and really might? And at least the past few years, enough people have decided that they haven't wanted to go, that we've taken people off the waiting list. And the only people who haven't been able to go, at least in the UK program last year, are people whose academic record suggests they wouldn't be. You're junkies.
On that note, does the Olympics program also have a wait list where not enough people accept their?
Yeah, and I shared this with another undergrad earlier. In China, 2008, I kept people on a wait list, and sure enough, I'm just kidding. Every day he's calling me. One person backed out at the last minute. I'm like, all right, you're really interested. And he ended up going. So you just never know, but I can't make those type of promises. Right.
Yeah, and I think that like genuine desire to learn and curiosity, openness to the experience, and those types of attitudes too that you obviously exemplify by being here. But if you wanted to include that in your essays as well, it would be compelling on the review side too. It's, like, attitude is important. I'm sure you guys appreciate that in your current classes too. Like, very clear when your peers are contributing to the discussion, and it adds a lot of value. So great. Yeah.
And for the Paris program, one thing you're probably looking for is an area of interest, right? So you want to study,
Yeah.
what is the vision to that?
Please don't tell me you just love the Olympic Games.
Right.
I always dreamed of being a gymnast.
Yeah, we all love the Olympics, but what is it in business that we're looking to get from this program? So I typically do not take them, but just tell me how much it costs.
So for the partner-led programs, are those reviewed solely by your department or also the partner institution?
It depends on the partner. Sometimes they leave it up to us completely, and then other times there's a second level of review. But generally, they want our students, because the way it works is if we send GWSB students for short-term programs, X number of GWSB students reflects like X number of semester students who are then returning to our school to then further diversify the classroom experience here, because their students are very eager to come. So most of them will accept, as many who are qualified, show that desire to learn, are like set up for success, as Professor Wonder said. So they're, I don't want to say they're less competitive, but it's usually because there are so many of them, it's like a smaller pool, and because they're only open to grad students as well. Good question. Any other comments or questions? Well, we have the reception too, so that'll be a chance to informally, continue the conversation with myself and with our faculty. We're just going to be down on the first floor in the Crane Center. It's roti. I remember the name of the restaurant. We're going to have roti and some sodas. So hopefully you can join us on your way out, even if you just stop by quickly to grab something to take.
And I did see there was a couple other maybe undergrads in here. So if you are, if you're a sophomore right now, as I said, the long program will be your senior year. I don't know what year you're on, but I'm trying to throw that out there.
Yeah. Yeah, lots of opportunities, and hopefully this will be, if you're able, one of many global programs that you participate in. Usually I start these presentations by asking like, how many of you studied abroad as an undergraduate or already as a graduate student? So just a quick show of hands. Great. And then how many of you regret that decision? You regret not doing it or you regret doing it?
I never did it.
Yeah, but you regret not doing it. Yeah. Right, so this is one of the last chances that you'll have, you know, as a graduate student and then also as an undergraduate to do that at this level. I know sometimes as an institution, this is the last thing I'll say, but sometimes, and it makes sense that we want to give opportunities to students who are closer to graduation. But there's a lot to be said, and I know that it's not necessarily the structure, but even if it's not study abroad, just as much real world practical experience you can have throughout your education, the better, because it really will inform your decisions in terms of classes you take, jobs you apply for, and just that awareness you have of your interests and skills and all of that. So thank you. I'll see you downstairs. Hi. I'm sorry, I just